Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new school year. Mr. Pizzo and I are excited to welcome everyone back. We wanted to take a few minutes and share some interesting things, some changes that are a little bit different than what we're used to, some subtle changes between a standard starting year and what we have planned for this year.
Hello and welcome back.
Yep, welcome, Mr. Pizzo. We're glad to have everybody come on back. First thing is first day of school, when there's several things that are a little different than what you're used to. The first day of school, generally, we meet in we all get together in the gymnasium. Mr. Pizzo and I talk to you about our vision and our direction for the year, talk about our theme, leave a legacy. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get together within that gymnasium. We're going to have you, once you get your temperature scanned, report directly to your advisor, advisee. There you'll get several papers and several things that Mr. Pizzo is going to talk about in a minute. But on every other school day, you're going to come in, get your temperature scanned, and go right to your first period. So to talk just a little bit about that first day of school, September 9th, and the things that we have planned, Mr. Pizzo, could you elaborate?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mr. Rimpa. So when you come in, first day of school, you're going to get your temperature scan. There'll be three lines in the back of the school, three teachers scanning you, and then in the front, there'll be one for those who get dropped off and who walk. And then once you get scanned, you're going to go right to your advisor advisee. Now you're going to get your Chromebook in that advisor advisee. If you kept it over the summer, obviously you have it. But that first day, you're going to get your Chromebook. You're also going to get a bunch of papers. You're going to get your schedule. You're going to get three excused forms, the school form. So if you're excused, you fill out one of those forms and then bring it in within 3 days of your absence. When you look for your advisor advisee, you're going to have you'll be able to see it posted on the front windows, so it'll be facing out. Last year they were inside, and they were also in the cafeteria. So you can just pull up right to the front, walk up. They'll be visible from the outside. Look to see who your advisor advisee is, and then they'll be in the back again at the entrance 10. Where the bison is, and back by the gymnasium entrance. So that's where you're going to go and find out who your advisor advisee is. If for those of you that were in the high school last year, your advisor stays the same, unless you're going to the technical school. If you're going to the VOTech school for the first time, your advisor is Mrs. Gadley and Mrs. Tucci. And then if you're not going to technical school, it will be the same ones that you had last year. Incoming freshmen, you're going to want to check those lists and make sure that you know who it is. When you come in, just ask many of the teachers out in the hallways what room number your advisor is, and then you can just proceed to that room.
All right, thanks, Mr. Pizzo. I know that you and the staff have put a lot of time and effort into making sure that everything's organized and ready to go. We appreciate all their efforts. Next, we have several principles that have guided us through this process. This is brand new to all of us. You're going to run into several things that are very similar to if you've gone to the dentist, gone to the doctor, even if you've gone to a store, if you've gone in to purchase things. You'll see there's a lot of different things going on with signage. There's a lot of different things going on with directions and protocol. And we have a lot of those same things in place. So most of you will be very comfortable. Those of you, and there's been so many of you that are involved in athletics, cheerleading, the band, the color guard, all of you that have been coming to school already are familiar with the temperature scans. You're familiar with the processes, the wearing of the masks. And so many of you already have been on campus and you've proven that we can do this safely and appropriately. So thank you. There's a lot of different strategies that we have in place. I'm not going to read these to you, but you're welcome to go back through this video if you want to stop the video and take a look and kind of read things, and you're welcome to get a little closer view. But you see there's a lot of different principles that we have in place. One of the things that's a little different is our new time schedule. We had to make this change in order to support our elementary school students and our elementary school buildings with some protocols that they have in place with regards to supervision and just their processes. So as a result, we came up with this. Mr. Pizzo, could you elaborate?
Yeah, sure. We were notified by Mr. Emmerich and Dr. Wolfram that they were going to shorten our day and dismiss at 2:12. So we had to look at our schedule, and what we came up with was we were have to eliminate our tutorial period. So that half hour in the middle of the day that we used to have will no longer be here. So to gain a little bit more time back, we moved the start of the day back 5 minutes. So instead of starting at 7:40, we'll start at 7:35. We'll go through periods 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll dismiss at 2:12.
All right, thank you. And you can see some of the reasons for that. It does eliminates the transition time. It also eliminates that whole tutorial period. And from time to time, Mr. Pizzo will work with the teachers, the clubs, advisors, athletic teams, and he'll put one in. So from time to time, listen to the announcements. He may have to schedule one of those if there's something important coming on, maybe an advisor, advisee, in order for us to disperse materials like report cards and things like that. But for the most part, that daily tutorial will be gone. Some other risk reduction strategies, and again, you can take a look at those. Some of them we're going to talk about in just a few minutes in a little bit more detail. Several changes to the physical plant, several changes to the high school. You can see some of those. You know, there's the hand sanitation stations, there's the desk sneeze guards, there's a lot of different things, again, that you're seeing out in public and out in the community. So none of it is going to be too earth-shattering, but there are going to be some things that are in place to help keep us safe. This is something that's very different than anything we've had in the past. If you take a look, you can go online. The PA Department of Health, through the governor's office, has indicated that these states, and this is as of last week, this does change from time to time. So before we get back on September 9th, I would recommend that you go online, take a look and see if there's any states that you have been to within 14 days. Their direction is to home quarantine. So that's kind of self-explanatory. You can take a look at that and make sure that you're safe and make sure that you're ready to come back in the building. We do have some changes also with face covering that we've never had in the past. I'm sure by now you see it on commercials, you see it on TV. It's very familiar with most everywhere. All of our athletes, all of our students that have been coming to school through the band, through the cheerleading, through the color guard, through our athletic teams, they've been practicing this when they're not in competition. We will be administering several mask breaks throughout the day. Sometimes your teachers will take you outside. Sometimes they'll take you in the hall so you can kind of stretch out, get some space in between you, maybe some large group areas in order to take a mask break. So we'll be incorporating those so that you get a little break and so that you don't have to have that on the entire day. This is also something a little different, our at-home health screening tool. Mr. Pizzo, if you could kind of elaborate on this, sir.
Sure. You're going to have one of these in a packet that you get from your advisor, advisee. There'll be a bunch of other forms in there, but this home health screening tool will be in there. And the parent should look at this every day before you send your child to school. So if you are in group A and you have one of those symptoms, if you have a cough or shortness of breath, I'm not going to read all those to you, or even the new taste disorder that's maybe new, and you have that, you should stay home. Column B is if you have two of those symptoms, then you should definitely stay home.
Yeah, and you can kind of see those. Thank you, Mr. Pizzo, and that's come out, and that those are also available online if you go to our webpage, www.fortleboeuf.net, or Mr. Pizzo will be providing some of those for you in your packet. When you're first entering the building, Mr. Pizzo, well, you can talk just a little bit about this. We already kind of addressed this a little bit with the very first day. After the first day, from the second day, third day, and so on, you'll still be doing the temperature scanning?
Right. There'll be 3 lines. When you come in the back, when the bus drops you off, they drop you off in the back. So you'll come in and there'll be 3 scanning stations. One will be up the stairs there by the auditorium entrance. There'll be a teacher up there. You just go up and you get scanned. The next one will be at the Bison. There'll be a teacher right by the visitor side doors to the gymnasium. And then our third line will be a little farther down the hallway by the trophy case. So you can pick any one of those 3 lines when you come in, and that'll be every day in the morning. The teachers will scan you. If you have a temperature, remember that temperature is 100.4, not 104, but 100.4. So anything below that, you're good to go. If it's above that, you'll be given a pass, and then you'll just go right to the nurse, because there's a variety of reasons you could have a temperature. So then we'll let the nurse do a little more thorough examination. Not to mention, it's a touchless scanner. So there's other things, there's other variables that come into play. So like Mr. Pizzo said, you'll get that card, you'll take that card and go down to the nurse's office, and then she can evaluate you and make sure you're safe, contact your parents, contact your doctor's office, things such as that to make sure that we're protecting you as well. Classroom procedures, very similar, and perhaps you've seen the videos that Mr. Emmerich and Dr. Wolfram have presented on the reopening of our schools. They've covered these types of things in pretty good detail, so you've perhaps already heard some of this. If not, you're welcome to go watch some of their videos where they have this information, or you can read some of our bulleted points there. Restroom procedures, a little different than normal. We kind of combine this with our hallway procedures. We'll kind of come back and forth with these. So restroom procedures, instead of
utilizing the restroom in between classes during your hall pass time. We ask that you stay out of those areas. What we don't want is 3, 4, 5, 10 kids in a restroom at one time congregating, kids that you're not normally around from your normal classes. And so that would increase your exposure, that would increase the opportunity for congregation. So we're going to have those restrooms pretty much shut down in between classes unless it's an absolute emergency. Then you'll use a normal restroom pass. And you guys might remember those blue passes that we've been using for years. Those have all been disposed of for safety. And now you'll have a disposable paper pass. You'll go to the restroom, when you come back, you throw it out. Your teachers will keep track through a Google Doc. Mr. Pizzo will have access to those, so we'll know exactly when you're out of the room and when you're not. And then we kind of combine that with our hallway procedures. Again, keep on your mask while you're changing classes, because there's several of you going to be in the hallways at one time. And make sure that you're not using the restrooms, that you're holding off until you get a pass. I'll let Mr. Pizzo talk a little bit about breakfast and lunch. Those are our next 2 phases.
Sure. For breakfast, unfortunately, we can't allow you into the cafeteria like in the past. But for those of you that were here last year, if you remember the refuel stations up by Tutorial, we're going to have that just like for breakfast. So we're going to have 3 cards positioned around the building. We'll probably have one here in the front like we used to have, one down right outside the cafeteria by the 500 hall, and then another one back by the vending machine area. So those will be your 3 breakfast cart stations.
And lunches, Mr. Pizzo?
Yeah, lunches, it's a little different this year. The round tables are no longer in the cafeteria. We got some new furniture. We got some long tables. So the seating is very limited. But a little over 100, maybe about 100 in the cafeteria. So all of those are assigned to the cafeteria. We're going to have some plexiglass covers, some dividers up where you guys are sitting in the tables. So for first lunch, we'll have a bunch of you in the cafeteria, and then the overfill will be in the gymnasium. So about half of the gym will be used because there are no gym classes during first lunch. So some of you will be eating in the gym, some of you will be eating in the cafeteria. Those classrooms are already assigned as to where you're going. We actually had to look at the travel distance, so they're very well thought out. For second and third lunch, we're utilizing the cafeteria, and then 2 classrooms in each lunch. So 2 classrooms will have to eat during second lunch in their rooms, and 2 classrooms will have to eat during third lunch in their classrooms.
Dismissal will be a little bit different again than normal. Not only we talked about that change in the time schedule, so we'll be dismissing, the entire building will be dismissed at 2:12. The tone will go off at that time, just like you're used to. But what Mr. Pizzo is going to do is get on, him or Mrs. Montgomery will dismiss students at 2:10, and that will be even numbered rooms. So if your 4th period class is an even numbered room, at 2:10, we're going to get you out. Remember, you're not allowed to use lockers. So there will be no going to your locker. So at 2:10, you'll be dismissed either to the parking lot so that you can leave in your car, or to the bus loading stations where you can get on your school buses. We're going to ask you not to be congregating and not to be hanging out in big groups. Get right on your bus and get moving. Then at 2:12, the tone will go off and all the odd numbered rooms will go, in order to balance out educational time so that everybody gets the same number of minutes for their 4th period. Every month, Mr. Pizzo will rotate that. So we discourage you from making sure, don't congregate, don't hang out in big groups. We ask you to go directly to the parking lot, directly to the buses, and we ask you to make sure that you maintain that mask, not only on your way to the bus, but when you're on the bus as well. Several sources that we utilized here when pulling all of this together. We've spent a lot of time, in discussion to make sure that we're providing the safest atmosphere possible. And we want to make sure that we maintain the most important focus. Our objective is to keep you safe and to educate you. There's going to be people that have different perspectives. Some people have a perspective of red. Some people have a perspective of yellow. Some people have a perspective of green. If you think about the colors that the government's been using, we're not interested in discussing that. We're not interested in determining which one's best. We know that we have several people in our community that are in each of those different camps. Our goal is to keep you safe, number one, and number two, get you educated and best prepared for your next school year, which might be for you seniors thinking about leaving us and graduating. For you underclassmen, it might be for preparing for that next step in your education. So welcome back, everyone. We're very excited to get to join everybody and be together again. Mr. Pizzo, any closing thoughts?
We just can't wait to see you back on the 9th. It's been a long time.
Yep. Welcome back, everyone. We're excited to see you and get everything up and running. PIAA released this morning all of our fall sports, so we're very excited for that to happen. So congratulations, all of our athletes. We look forward to watching you and hearing about your competitions, and we look forward to seeing everyone on September 9th here sitting in your advisor advisee at 7:35.